Agenda items 1 through 10 and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Cozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamikaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Moving to the committee reports, I'll ask Councilman Kalbas.
Thank you, Council President. I have a brief report tonight. First and foremost, my thoughts and prayers go out to the Workmeister family on the passing of former Mayor Paul Workmeister. He was a really good man, and he meant a lot and did a lot for the city of Linden. So please keep his family in your prayers. DPW is in the first ward currently, I believe, and assessing all the requests I made for tree trims or removal. Basically, they will go out and see what needs to be done, and if they decide the tree needs to come down because it is dead, they will remove it. If it needs to be trimmed, they will do that as well. I have a pretty long list, so I'm sure they'll get to as much as they can in a timely fashion. And I want to thank DPW and Public Property for all the work they've done for the requests I put in over the last few months and over the last year as well. Any First Ward resident who wants to request a tree planting, please give me a call at 925-5568 before September. The request has to be in by September 4th, so anytime leading up to that, so probably by September 3rd. That would be great. I've received many phone calls concerning the speeding and traffic on DeWitt Street. I'm sure Councilman Cozio has as well. And I want to thank the Traffic Bureau and Councilman Cozio for getting those little people stop signs on DeWitt, because it is curtailing traffic. But speeding is still occurring on these streets, on DeWitt and the side streets as well. So Councilman Cozio and myself are planning to sit down with the Traffic Bureau and the mayor and figure out a plan to stop this speeding, be it maybe a four-way stop putting request or even another traffic signal. But we want to see what the best possible solution is to derail this prevalent problem. And as for that concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Cozio?
Thank you. I got a bad time to get a tickle in my throat. From the Technology Committee, bond ordinance number 56-42 on for hearing on tonight's agenda allows for the appropriation, as we heard tonight, for the acquisition of computer and IT-related equipment for all municipal departments other than public safety. This will include phase one of a long-awaited and much-needed IT upgrade for the municipality. I'd like to thank Council for their support of the committee and in helping to make these upgrades possible. The Special Improvement District Committee, you heard Director Mike Bono come up here and answer some questions that came from the public. Tonight was a hearing date for the SID 2012 budget. On this agenda, resolution item 2012-296. Upon its passage, and it has passed, funding will be available for this year's SID initiatives. Mr. Bono did bring up very briefly with Mr. Shafi that the committee is also exploring the possibility of developing or modifying a position with the advice of our personnel attorney to allow for traffic and parking enforcement personnel to enforce environmental and littering violations. They are up there anyway. They're downtown, not only the SID district, but they're all over the city. And one of the things, one of the initiatives that had come out of SID was that we want to make downtown a little bit brighter, a little bit cleaner, a place where we could be a little more proud of. And if somebody is going to walk downtown in Linden and think nothing of throwing a wrapper or a can or what have you on the street, they don't care about Linden, and if we don't enforce it, we don't care about Linden. So we are going to look to get these people out there and not only enforce traffic and parking issues, but also littering violations. The Revenue Enhancement Committee met this month to review companies that specialize in municipal revenue generation. Municipal marketing develops revenue-generating partnerships and programs between the public and private sector to allow local governments to raise revenue without raising municipal taxes. Community assets and properties are leveraged for sponsorships, advertising, naming rights, and other revenue-generating programs. And I've solicited initial information packages from several firms to better determine what types of methods will work best for Linden. And once reviewed, the committee can develop a request for proposals. The Consolidation and Restructuring Committee, you've heard I haven't had an opportunity to report on this in the past several months as we haven't met. The committee has changed its focus from departmental reduction to departmental restructuring. Focus of the next committee meeting will be in working with personnel attorney, Mr. Roth, to better define and simplify all civil service titles, allowing for much more flexibility in the future when deploying laborers and other personnel. Future position hires can be better defined with specific job requirements, but with a general service title. With this, departmental tables of organization will be monitored and evaluated regularly for effectiveness. A little bit about the Duke redevelopment of the GM property, which we're all waiting for and we know is coming soon. My concerns remain of the severe impact the development will have on the roads and infrastructure of the Second Ward and the First Ward. Many of the primary, which will be a primary route of southbound traffic from other municipalities to the retail development. My concerns relative to the future traffic impact in the ward were brought to the attention of the mayor and the Traffic Bureau. The Bureau has decided not to act on any requested road studies or suggested improvements due to Duke's pending roadway alterations in the Stiles, West Blanky, and West Elizabeth Avenue vicinity. What I find disconcerting is that the improvements are needed now, and the residents and motorists are being asked to wait for a development entity to tell us what's best for our neighborhood and roadways. I intend to further involve the County Engineering Department and representatives from Duke to evaluate the area's potential traffic increase. Second Ward specific items, the West Elizabeth Avenue Flood Control Project, I'll tell you, I really have to hand it to the residents down in that area because they've been putting up with a lot for the past several weeks and months, but the alternative has always been severe flooding, so hopefully this will curtail a lot of it. Our engineering department tells me that we've increased the takeaway capacity of flood water by about 200%. Project contractor Tomco Construction has begun phase 1 of the road construction on the south side of West Elizabeth Avenue. Milling the existing pavement will be first, and then removal of the concrete base and curbing. Installation of a new roadway base, curbing, sidewalk, and pavement will follow. During this time, a traffic control plan will be implemented, which will include one-way traffic westbound on West Elizabeth Avenue toward Rahway. Linden-bound traffic will follow detour via Scott Avenue to St. George's Avenue and then to Stiles Street. The detour will be in place 24/7 during this phase. Two-way traffic will be implemented on the new road section while work on the north side of West Elizabeth during Phase 2 of reconstruction continues. Phase 1 detour will be eliminated. Then Linden Police will be stationed on-site to assist businesses with deliveries and any special considerations they may have. Weather permitting, the project will be completed in early October, and we thank and really appreciate the cooperation of area residents for their patience. I thank George Verchik, our city engineer, because with Hurricane Irene, which, if everybody remembers, we're a few days away from the year anniversary of Hurricane Irene, I had the opportunity to drive during most of the, I'm going to say, the safe portions of the storm with Councilman Brown through the 3rd and 2nd wards. We have some issues that haven't been addressed for a long time, and some of those issues do affect other cities. City Engineer George Verchik and I met last week with the Council President and City Engineer from Rahway at our request to help develop a cooperative plan to more clearly identify the sources of and develop a plan to alleviate the sources of flooding affecting most westerly sections of the 2nd Ward near the Rahway border. Resources and anticipated funding from the County of Union will play an integral role in a project which has been largely neglected for many years. Improvements in both Linden and Rahway will be identified and plans formulated to improve the flow of floodwater away from the affected residential areas consistently and historically plagued by flooding. I want to thank very much Sergeant Bobolski from our Linden Police Department Traffic Bureau. We sat for almost 3 hours last week to discuss traffic and parking related issues specific to the 2nd Ward. Thank him for taking time to hear my concerns and those of my constituents. We addressed vehicle speed on DeWitt and the St. George to West Blanky length of road and possibility of placing a four-way stop or blinking red light at either the Curtis or Henry Street intersections. And I'm going to work very closely with my colleague, Councilman Colibus, because we share that road from St. George all the way down to West Blanky, and it tends to be a little bit of a speedway. And as everybody knows, as you're coming southerly and you come down that little hill towards the AA field, the road narrows where they allow parking on one side of the road. It's pretty treacherous. and a lot of people will come up Curtis and then shoot down to beat the traffic on Wood Avenue, and, you know, we're getting 40, 45-mile-an-hour speeds on that road, and it's 25 posted, so we do need something to break that traffic up, so hopefully will affect that road. Visible pedestrian crosswalk signs have been installed, as Chris said, on the Curtis to Wood intersection facing northerly and southerly, and the pedestrian awareness stanchions have noticeably, I've really noticed it slowed down traffic and the length of the roadway. These are interesting numbers. I had asked for some accident reports. During the last 5 years, the amount of accidents on the DeWitt and cross streets have been significant. At Curtis and DeWitt, 15 accidents. DeWitt and West Henry, 16 accidents, and DeWitt and West Elm, 17 accidents. That's significant. So we do need improvement in that area. And I'll continue to work with the help of Councilman Colibus and the LPD to monitor traffic and make positive improvements to make this length of roadway and these intersections safer. Aggressive enforcement will continue on commercial vehicle overnight parking, residential line-of-sight violations, and businesses who continue to use our city streets as parking lots, and city right-of-ways to do repair work on vehicles. Thanks to Mr. McDonald for tonight letting me know that School 8 crosswalks and street markings will take place before the beginning of school. After the first ward, it's traditionally the second ward for trees, so I have been taking requests for tree trims, and they'll be done in due course. Fall planning, the deadline for requests, if we had a tree taken down and we want another tree, please let me know. September 4th, Tuesday, September 4th is the deadline. And if we don't have enough requests for plantings, the Shade Tree Commission has traditionally chose appropriate locations to keep in line with the city's goal of maximizing a continuous foliage canopy of coverage. If you haven't been to the promenade for the shows, please go. They've been phenomenal. Several council people have come out, but Gary Luciano and the crew at Recreation do a fantastic job at putting these shows on. The weather's been great, and we have some top-notch entertainment. Please come out. There's one tonight. And I just want to acknowledge again the condolences for the passing of former Mayor Paul Workmeister. He will be missed, and our thoughts go out to his family. End of report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brown?
No report.
Councilman Derek Armstead.
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following reports. A request to clean up Dr. King Park on September 8, 2012 by the Swing Fi Swing Social Fellowship Organization was made to the Clean Communities Coordinator. They anticipate 30 to 40 volunteers and are requesting a mini grant of $300 from the Clean Communities grant. The city engineer informs us that the cleanup is an eligible activity for funding. This effort is a collaborative effort that involves people from all over the Linden community. This cleanup will increase understanding of the environmental stewardship necessary to maintain a clean and safe park. As the Linden coordinator for NJ Clean Communities, you no doubt are aware of the value of the Linden parks to our community. We would appreciate your support in preserving this treasured community asset. I move for approval for the cleanup and payment of $300, subject to Recreation and Engineering Department requirements and a hold harmless agreement, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colibus?
Yes.
Cozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis? Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
The following licenses and permits and transcripts were issued to the City Clerk's office during the month of July for 2012, and fees received have been turned over to the Treasurer's Office for the City of Linden. There were 83 birth, death, and marriage transcripts for $1,245. There was 27 marriage civil union licenses for $81, with a state revenue of $675. 0 domestic partnerships, 15 miscellaneous revenue items for $41.63, 3 bingo raffles for $60, 201 EDRS vital statistics for $3,210, and 8 borough permit fees for $40, giving us a total of $5,352.63. The following license, permits, and transcripts issued by the City Clerk's Office during the month of June 2012 and fees received have been turned over to the Treasurer's Office for the City of Linden. 128 birth, death, and marriage transcripts for $1,905. 32 marriage and civil union licenses for $96 with $800 in state revenues, 20 miscellaneous revenues for $420.49, 0 domestic partnerships, 3 bingo raffles for $790, 231 EDRS vital statistics for $3,165, with a total of $7,176.49. As usual, the Personnel and Finance Committee report will be down on the table in front of the dais. Anyone from the public who would like to comment on the items on the agenda, as well as council members, may do so at this time.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Sheehy.
I'd like to comment on number 1, please.
Councilman Shi was first.
Mr. Sheehy? I would like to pull item number 1 off the Personnel and Finance Committee report for further review.
Second.
Council President, I'd like to comment on item number 1. That's my appointment.
There's a motion on the floor. Mr. Clerk, take the roll, please.
Excuse me, you're not allowing me to speak on my appointment, Council President?
Under your report, you'll speak under.
I'd like to speak on it now on the Personnel Committee report. I have the statutory right to appoint the Chief of Police in the Linden Police
There's a motion
Department.
that's been seconded. It has to go to a vote.
Council President, it's a motion to table, this is a motion to table which is not subject to debate.
Mr.
So
Clerk?
then when am I going to debate this issue? Am I being denied my right to speak under the First Amendment?
No, you have an opportunity during your portion to make comments, and we'll listen to it then.
Why shouldn't I do it when we're discussing the subject?
There's a motion to pull it. Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel? Yes. Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
No.
Kozinski? No. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Mr. Armstead?
Yes. Approval is requested for the following personnel and finance actions. Item number 2, in the Police Department, the assignment of Kim Matos as a group leader in the division of the Central Dispatch effective August 22nd, 2012, to fill an existing vacancy in a position to receive a stipend of $1,250 per year. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kozinski? Yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Okay. My apologies to the public. I didn't allow for public comment. If anybody would like to comment on any of the additional items on the agenda, you may do so at this time.
Anybody on the right wish to?
Items 2 through 7.
Anybody in the center? On my left? Seeing none, Mr. Armstead, we continue.
Item number 3, and the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the change in title for the following personnel to be commensurate with the duties they are presently performing effective August 22nd, 2012, and I'm going to do them individually. Item number A, John Fleming, change in title to maintenance worker, 1, grounds at the hourly rate of $20.30 an hour, an annual salary of $42,224. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
While I do believe that Mr. Fleming is deserving, I'm going to abstain.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kozinski? Yes. Mr. Moore?
No.
Item B, Gary Luciano, change in title to Recreation Supervisor at the present salary of $70,259, no increase in pay. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Harling?
No.
Sadowski?
I abstain.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Item C, Megan Martin, change in title to Recreation Program Coordinator at her annual salary of $58,163. This is no increase in pay. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Harling?
No.
Sadowski?
I abstain.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Item D, Lisa Osada, change in title to Principal Account Clerk, Grade 5, at an annual salary of $53,379. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Harling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Item number 4, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the hiring of Ann Goebel as a laborer Tier 2 at a starting hourly rate of $10 an hour, effective August 22nd, 2012, to fill an existing vacancy. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Harling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Item number 5, in the Department of Emergency Management, the acceptance of a donation in the amount of $300 from Two Tony's Pizza to be placed in a dedicated trust account for OEM purposes. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Harling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Item number 6, the payment of bills totaling $1,675,400.46. The bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, and Finance Chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the Clerk's office. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Harling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Item number 7, we are in receipt of the investments made by the City Treasurer for the month of July at a rate of 0.75%. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Harling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
And last but not least, I too would like to express my condolences to the Workmeister family, and personally like to state that Paul Workmeister, he was a valuable asset to this community. His expertise in finance was definitely appreciated. There were times when there were issues that I didn't understand that he was very knowledgeable in, and he always offered his help anytime we had a question for him. So again, my condolences to his family. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Cosby Hurley.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to be as quick as I possibly can. Good evening, everyone. I want to give my condolences to one of my neighbors, the family of Mr. Joe Boyko. Condolences also to the Workmeister family and to the Thorne family. All three gentlemen served Linden well, and they will be missed. I just want to just remind everyone that Union County Crime Stoppers is still accepting any donation to increase the reward in the murder of young Amber Duncan Wilson. I'll give the number if you're interested in making any sort of a monetary donation that will increase the reward for information that leads to an arrest. The number for Union County Crime Stoppers is 908-654-8477. From the Negotiations Committee, we actually met today with our labor specialist, and we are in receipt of the contracts. All of the city contracts are up this year, and we're going to be looking at each and every one of them thoroughly and try to do our best for the city workforce as well as the city's taxpayer. I don't have a report from the Recycling Committee. From the Engineering Committee, I have the following report. The soil around the underground gas tank at the multipurpose center on John Street was analyzed, and it was determined to have a concentration of benzene above the levels approved or acceptable by the New Jersey DEP. This will not affect the safety of the residents or the people who come to the center. The soil must be disposed of by a licensed facility, and that is the reason you still see it sitting there in the parking lot. The removal of the soil as well as the outside scope of the consultant's contract had to be change ordered, so we had to get that approved at the September council meeting, which is going to be coming forward. The sidewalk contractor anticipates the replacement of the sidewalks at our center no later than August 31st. The community development sidewalk contractor is 50% complete. He still has 5th Ward and 8th Ward yet to complete. Bids were received on October 14th for the first phase of our capital budget street resurfacing. That's going to include quite a few streets: Morningside Avenue, Highland Avenue, Verona Avenue, Lindegar Street. The engineering department compared the prices for milling and paving between the contractors and the Morris County Co-op and determined the city would save approximately $25,000 by going co-op. So there are going to be 2 resolutions for tonight's meeting. We were notified by the New Jersey Turnpike Authority that they will repair and resurface the Wood Avenue Bridge deck over the Turnpike next year. Also for engineering, we have the 800 block of Jackson Avenue, which was actually scheduled to be paved 2 years ago. There's a dip in the road, and we expect to have the camera service done by the end of this week so we can get that on the schedule for paving. Housing Authority, I will be attending a meeting September the 12th. Okay, and citywide, I have a notice from Rutgers, Newark. This is specific to children aged 10 and 12 of African American or Hispanic background. It's a child health study. It takes about 30 minutes. I actually participated with my son. 30 minutes, and it's for a child health study to Rutgers, Newark. The next date for the study is going to be done August 25th. It's going to be right here in Linden at the library. You don't have to register. They'll be there from 9:30 a.m. until 4 p.m. You have to have 1 parent, 1 child within the eligible age range and ethnic background. You'll receive $30 in cash for participating in the health study. I want to congratulate Janine Miles. She did her 2nd annual bladder awareness walk this year, and I participated in that. She had a lot of people there, and just to raise awareness for bladder cancer. It's a silent killer, and a lot of us think that it's a senior disease, but it's not. It can affect us all. So it was a good event. I appreciate her for taking the initiative with that. For the 5th Ward, I want to thank my colleague in the 8th Ward, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, for allowing the 5th Ward to beat her 8th Ward residents in the volleyball game at our 2nd annual community cookout. It was a great time had by everyone. If you missed it, you missed a great time. We had lots of support, lots of residents, vendors, and volunteers. I want to thank them for that. Did I say that the 5th Ward won the volleyball game? Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. Crosswalks, again, we heard it earlier. The crosswalks are going to be painted near all of the schools. I know that I had mentioned we would have them near our parks. Unfortunately, I was advised recently that we can't get them near the parks right now because of manpower. So just everybody continue to cross safely and, of course, from corner to corner, whether there's a crosswalk or not. If you would like to have a city tree planted near your home, please make sure you contact me. I'm going to accept requests up until September the 1st. My telephone number is 908-477-4120, or you can send me an email, rcosbyhurling@linden-nj.org. Okay. Once your request is made, the Shade Tree Commission actually goes out and assesses the area just to make sure that the tree can be planted. So there is no guarantee, but if you'd like to have one, please submit your information. Charles Street Park, I know that the swings were removed and everybody was concerned about what's going on. On tonight's agenda, there's actually a request to apply for a grant for $75,000 so that we can get our park, renovated. So that's on tonight, and hopefully we can get this grant and we can get our park back into shape. Upcoming events, September the 6th, school starts. Don't forget. September the 11th, we will have our regular Fifth Ward Community Meeting at 7 p.m. I requested today from the mayor, well, I just let him know we had previously requested to have a member of the police department there to do a special presentation. They will be there as long as they're approved, and the presentation is about why the police do what they do. Because we want to make sure that people behave a certain way. You don't want to feel differently or like you're mistreated. The police have a job to do, and we have a job to do as residents. So September 11th is the meeting, and it was scheduled before the mayor's policy, which he gave us tonight, that no council person can talk to the police. So hopefully we can still have that police officer at our meeting. September 13th, we are going to have Hispanic heritage recognized on the city street with a temporary sign. So the mayor agreed to have that up just to, acknowledge Hispanic heritage. It runs from September 15th until October the 15th. Finally, September the 23rd, which is near the International Day of Peace, which is really September 21st, we are planning to just have a day of peace here in Linden, Wilson Park. It's a Sunday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m., just so that we can peacefully gather and show our support for peace here in Linden. Before I finish my report, I'd like to wish my daughter a happy birthday, Cece, and that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Sadowski?
Are you finished?
No, wait, I have another joke.
Thank you, Council President. I have a very short report, but a couple of things first. I'd like to give my condolences to the Paul Workmeister family. Years ago when he was mayor, we worked for his campaign, I did, with Richard Pizicki and so on, and I thought he was a good man. Also, as mentioned before, Joe Boyko. Most of you don't know Joe. Joe worked for the city as an inspector, and he was on the zoning board with me for about 8 years. He passed away, so to both families, I'd like to give my condolences. Secondly, the policy committee, which was started last week, we had 3 men on it, and we thought that there should be a woman on it, and Michelle Yamakaitis has joined us, so it's not just men, so thank you. Last month, I forgot, I don't see them here, I forgot to mention that Linda Sheehy and Dolores Hines, with their volunteer work at the high school bash, I forgot to mention that last month, so I'm mentioning it this month. The light, we always get the light at the corner of Route 1 and Clinton, of course, still isn't working correctly. I talked with Sergeant Babulski. He is going to have a meeting with the state in Woodbridge sometime, and when he goes down, he will invite me. We will go down together and see if we can get this straightened out. But as it stands now, it's still the same way. Please remember, school starts in September. Be careful. Sixth School, they've changed some of their parking. On Morris Avenue used to be the bus stop. It is not there. People could pull in with the cars. On Linden Avenue, there will be a bus stop for the kindergarten children. So if you come down Linden Avenue early in the morning or around 2:30, 3 o'clock, as soon as you make that turn, that bus stop is there. It will be painted and so on. Notifications have been sent home to all the parents from the school by the principal, so we're hoping that it runs smoothly and no incidences. The county still is starting to put in a soccer field at Wheeler Park. They just called me up a couple of days ago, and they said it will be in this fall. In the 6th Ward, PSE&G are going around to some of the places. They are cutting some of the branches for the trees so that the wires can go through. The city frowns. They don't cut by the wires. PSE&G does that, so they're doing that now. As mentioned before by a couple of the council people, if any citizen in the 6th Ward wants a tree planted in front of their home, please give me a call, and the number is 862-0749. Either I'll be there, my wife, or just leave a message. All I need is your address and that you need a tree. We will submit it. As I said before, I need this list by the end of August. So if you want a tree, please give me a call. That concludes my...
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Sheehy?
Thank you, sir. In the 7th Ward, we all know there's a construction project going on Lower Road. We're replacing a pipeline there that we're guessing was installed in the 1940s. So this is, the construction job is going as planned. It's been well planned out, and there was 3 pipes installed in the 1940s, and we're replacing them with 2 pipes this time. And I know it's causing us a little havoc, but we'll fight through it down there. This weekend, one of the crown jewels of Linden came through, the 9/11 motorcycle run. And I really wish that more people from Linden would show up at this motorcycle event. These bikers come from all over the country. Last year, I seen somebody there from Alaska, and it's a free event, and if everybody can come down and support the 9/11 motorcycle run, it would be fantastic. I really would like to thank, though, the fire department, the police department, and the OEM crew for the spectacular job that they do getting these thousands of motorcycles in and out. I'd like to thank Applebee's for all they've done, and Rose. Rose, our dispatcher, Rose, basically runs the whole event almost by herself, organizes it anyway. And I'd like to thank you again, Rose, for your great job. And September to Remember is coming up, our street fair in Linden, September 1st on a Saturday. Please come out and support it. It's a great event. And, meet your fellow citizens here in town. I'd like to mention a great friend of mine and a great friend of this city, Jeff Kennedy. Jeff worked at the Village Bakery, I'd say his whole life, most of his life, but Jeff is well noted for the American Legion here in Linden. Jeff has been the commander at the American Legion for 8 years in the city of Linden, and he's been the commander of Union County American Legion for 4 years, and God rest his soul. Thank you, Jeff, for all you've done for us. And I'd like to talk about Mr. Workmeister for a minute. Mr. Workmeister was the most knowledgeable man in this town on budgeting money, bonding money, grants, the capital budget. Nobody knew more than him. The thing was, a lot of stubborn politics. Nobody listened to the guy. Nobody. But I've thanked Mr. Workmeister because I called on him routinely. When I started this job, I knew nothing about budgeting and bonding money, but he was a big help to me. And Mr. Workmeister's biggest problem was he loved this town too much. And, he to the day he died, he still came here and got up at that podium for the best of the city of Linden. And he was another veteran that served this town well. God rest his soul. Thank you, Mr. Workmeister. End of my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Yamakaitis?
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Board of Health, I'd like to announce that registration for flu shots is now open. You could call the Health Department at 474-8409. Residents 60 years or older or those residents with chronic illnesses need to pre-register for the program, so please call that number. From the library, the Linden Public Library will be wrapping up the Summer Reading Club for Children on Wednesday, August 29th at 11 a.m. with a celebration party for those children who have completed their Summer Reading Club log and won all 10 prizes. Refreshments will be served and everyone will receive a summer reading certificate. Save the date. A school vacation day is on Monday, September 17th from 2 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. with a free children's concert at the library by Tommy Gardner. You have to sign up and get your free ticket for this event also. For this and more information, please call the Linden Public Library at 298-3830. For the 8th Ward report, I just wanted to mention, as many of my colleagues have, if anyone is interested in a new tree planting in front of their home, please give me a call by the end of August. We have to have these trees submitted if you want a planting in 2012. Also, I'm in the process of compiling a list of dead trees in the ward, since Public Works will be returning to the 8th Ward to trim in the fall. So please give me a call. Sidewalk and curb work are progressing. The 8th Ward has been marked, as I have seen some signs posted tonight. Please pay attention. If there's no parking signs posted, please don't park there. They're going to replace the curb or do sidewalk work there. I'd like to also take this opportunity to invite everyone to our annual September 11th Candlelight Vigil at the Wanda Green Park on Mack Place. Every year, the 8th Ward has this service in the evening. Wanda was from the 8th Ward. She, along with many others, perished on that day. She was the stewardess on Flight 93, so we ask everyone to please come out and join us for our Candlelight Vigil. And I'd just like to remind residents, the Halloween parade will be going on this year. Please get involved, volunteer, even come out and just support the parade. Come out that Sunday. It's a worthy cause. It's something positive for the city of Linden, so we ask for your support. And I, too, would like to express my condolences to the family of Paul Workmeister. I did have the opportunity, along with Councilman Sadowski, to work on a committee with him. He's a very impressive man, and he's a great loss to the city of Linden. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Frazier?
Thank you, Council President, and good evening, everyone. I'd like to render my report. First of all, our Environmental Commission, which I am the representative for Council, had a meeting early in August, and they met with EarthCare. EarthCare is the company that wants to do business in the city of Linden by cleaning up and taking care of medical waste through an autoclave system which they want to use. So the Environmental Commission had the opportunity to receive their presentation, and early in September, hopefully the Environmental Commission will come forward to the Council and let us know exactly what they think of the presentation and whether or not they want to go ahead and recommend EarthCare. The other item which I'm very proud to talk about is the Linden Greenway, otherwise known as the Hawkeye Sanctuary. We're doing very well. Unfortunately, with the road work being done on Range Road, a number of people have stayed away from it, but the Hawkeye Sanctuary, as you know, was opened in May 30th, and it's the only place in Linden where you'll get the opportunity to see deer, red-tailed fox, hawks, egrets, all sorts of animals, different plant life, right here, roughly 5.1 miles from where we sit right now. I had the opportunity, I go there every week, and I was there last week, and wouldn't you know it, I saw two big deer and at least 3 wild turkeys, and that this was within 1.5 hours while I was there. Anyway, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow morning, and the meeting basically will be with the Audubon Society, and the Audubon are the stewards of the landfill. They're the people that assist us and pretty much tell us exactly how to run the sanctuary. They're the people with the know-how of plants, wild animals, and so forth. So we're going to have a meeting as to where we are and what we're doing with them. In addition, as my colleagues indicated, curbs and sidewalks will soon be installed. These are the curbs and sidewalks that I've put in based on recommendations from different constituents, as well as my own observations too. Tree planting, I've received a number of trees from my constituents for planting. If any additional trees need to be planted, please contact me, Robert L. Fraser, my website, Robert Fraser, councilman.com. Okay, I have my own website. And in the 9th Ward, it's considered as the Sunnyside section of Linden, but quite frankly, I'd rather refer to it as the Shady Side section of Linden. We have a tremendous amount of trees there, and we want to keep it nice and green. As many of my colleagues had indicated, they had referred their condolences to Mr. Paul Werkmeister. Paul Werkmeister means a lot to me because, quite frankly, I sit in his seat today. Paul Werkmeister, particularly some of the new people and younger people who don't know, the gentleman in the second picture from the end, the former mayor, former councilman of the 9th Ward. He had 15 years in the 9th Ward, and it's ironic, by December, good Lord willing, I shall have served 15 years in the 9th Ward also. Paul was a mentor. He was an extremely knowledgeable man with regards to the city, particularly with regards to the workings of the city and so forth. You could call upon him on anything, and he could refer back to 30, 40 years, if not longer, and give you his interpretation of what things were and so forth. He's a man who dedicated himself, and quite frankly, we're proud because he was a statesman for the city, too. He knew exactly what was going on and how it should be going on, and on numerous occasions he was here and voiced his opinions as to how government should be run, and quite frankly, some of us did listen and some did not. But in any event, I have to acknowledge that he was quite a gentleman, quite a person who was dedicated to the city of Linden, and I myself, as well as members of the 9th Ward, certainly offer our sincere sympathy as well as condolences to the Werkmeister family. I don't know if we'll ever see another one like him again, but he was quite a person. That concludes my presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Frazier. Councilman Kuczynski.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. From the Construction Code, in July, it processed 134 permit applications and issued 19 certificates. The office collected $53,302 for the month. The Fire Department responded to 724 total calls in July, and the Fire Prevention Bureau collected $3,122.25 for the month. I'd like to take a moment to also thank Phillips 66, who's been I'm finding, a constant partner in Linden, especially when it comes to the Fire Department. They have, again, donated a substantial amount, $6,943.77, which will be used for a purchase of a Bull X fire extinguishing intelligent training system. It sounds like a lot, and it's probably much more than I can ever understand, but anytime it comes to training, training means prevention. Prevention is a good thing. It prevents us from wasting money, prevents us from wasting time, but most importantly, it often prevents loss of life and injury. So I would like to publicly thank Phillips 66 Bailey Refinery, and also I would like to make a motion that we accept this donation of $6,943.77 and respectfully seek a second.
Second.
Second also.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead? Yes. Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to the 10th Ward, we had the Winfield Park Carnival in our area in the 10th Ward. As you know, last year was an issue. This year, I'd like to thank the mayor, the police, the chief, our compatriot, organizations, the Union County Police Chief and the officers there, the Winfield Park authorities. This year, they were gracious in hearing my complaints, my concerns, the experiences of everybody that I talked to. And I think if you noticed this year, there was a greater police presence, less issues, and I just want to thank everyone around, and especially the 10th Ward residents for their patience, considering this is something that's in a neighboring township that we don't get any benefit from other than just attending the event itself. So again, I thank you. I appreciate your patience. I know several people who are involved with the carnival wanted me to extend that as well. Several of my colleagues here also mentioned school starting soon. In the 10th Ward, that means we have McManus, School 9, School 10, and St. John's. All schools where you're going to see many children in the streets coming up. It's something I take personally because I grew up on Style Street. I went to School 9, I went to McManus, and I remember how many close calls I had walking to school. And, you laugh about it now, saying, oh, it was close, but you know what? It takes an inch and it's not a laughing matter anymore. And then it becomes something very, very serious. And I'm not about to take that chance and have this become very serious. So I'm going to meet with I know a lot of times we're wise, the 10th Ward residents are wise to the area, but it's also the people that are outside our ward that speed through our area. So please be aware that I'm going to ask for increased vigilance around those schools specifically. Style Street, I know I've received numerous complaints, and I've seen it myself trying to cross the street, and nobody adheres to that crosswalk law. And with school starting, I'm an adult, I can back out, but if there's a child trying to cross that street or around that area, they might not be so quick. So please be aware, 10th Ward residents, that I'm going to ask for increased vigilance in that area for the betterment of all of us. Also, abandoned homes and vacant lots in our area. There is a pretty tedious way to go about this. It's not as easy as I wish it was, which is there's overgrown grass, let's go mow it, or there's a problem house, let's go fix it. This is private property still, for the most part. When a bank owns it or someone else owns it, there is an owner, and we have to go through the same way as if somebody was living there. You can't just go on somebody's property and do anything. It's very frustrating. I know I have several properties that every day I'm following up on, every day I'm visiting, every day I'm looking and seeing nothing getting done. And I'm just taking notes to make the process go that much faster when I do have a say and say, you know what, this has been ridiculous, this is too far. So I appreciate your patience, and if you do have properties, I do make a habit to walk the ward and drive the ward, but I can't get to every single block sometimes, and maybe when I pass by I don't notice it. So if you see something out of the ordinary with a house, a vacant house, give me a call and we can try to see what we can fix there. As my colleagues also said, if you would like a tree, please let me know as soon as possible. We have, in the last few weeks, our tree crew going around trimming trees. As Councilman Frazier noted, there are a lot of trees in our area. A lot of them are sometimes problem trees, but we have to remember that our professionals know what they're doing, and they're there to make sure these trees live, because those trees benefit us and property owners as well. And again, as everyone has said here, former Mayor Workmeister, I met recently, when I got involved. And being the newest person up here, I can't say how much it means to have someone with an open mind that's been there before and has offered, honest advice that, sounds hard sometimes, and that's what I asked for. I asked for advice. We might not always agree, but please tell me what you think. And he always did that. He didn't step back at all, and I can never say how much more I can appreciate that. That's a quality in a person that's far too infrequent, and he will be missed, and I want to extend my thoughts and prayers, along with my wife's thoughts and prayers, to the Workmeister family. Thank you, Mr. Council President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. I'd like to remind everybody that if they wish to speak at the end of the meeting, to sign the sheets. We'll move into the mayor's report. Mayor Gabunka.
Thank you, Council President, for giving me the opportunity to speak. I think everybody just witnessed democracy in action in the city of Linden when the council president didn't even give me the courtesy to have an up or down vote on Captain Schulhafer, who I am recommending for appointment as chief of police in the city of Linden. We have been without a permanent police chief since Mike Boyle retired in February of 2011. And as the mayor, I am the head of the police department, and by statute, I have the right to appoint, suspend, discipline, and demote members in the Linden Police Department. And you just recently saw me trying to exercise my statutory right to appoint Captain Schulhafer as chief of police. He came out number 1 on a civil service test, 6 points above number 2 and 10 points above number 3. He has a master's degree. He went to the prestigious FBI Academy. He lives in Linden all his life. For people who don't know it, I retired after 26 years in the Linden Police Department as captain of detectives. I came out number 1 on the sergeant's list, number 2 on the lieutenant's list, and number 1 on the captain's list. I challenge anybody, any elected official on this dais to tell me that they know more about the Linden Police Department than I do. I was a commander of all 3 of these individuals. I consider all of them professionals, colleagues, and friends. Therefore, I knew this was going to be a hard decision. And it was one that I did not look forward to, but it's one as the mayor, I have a responsibility to the citizens of Linden to nominate the best man I feel for that position, even though 2 others may take offense to that. Therefore, I wanted an objective criteria to make my decision. That's why I called for a test, to give every eligible captain and deputy chief a chance to come out number 1 and to show their mettle. That's what the civil service tests are all about. Objective criteria, not subjective criteria that you got 20 people coming up saying how great I am, because I could find 20 people that'll come up and say how bad I am. That's why you have objective criteria. I even went further, and I consulted with 2 former police chiefs, Chief John Miliano and Chief Mike Boyle. And I'm not going to read their whole letters that they wrote to me, but Chief Miliano recommended Captain Schulhafer. He has more than adequately demonstrated his aptitude and ability to successfully fill this position. Therefore, I recommend him to be the police chief of the city of Linden. Chief Boyle, in addition to these outstanding qualities, and I'm not going to go into them because I already talked about it, Captain Schulhafer possesses a bachelor's degree from Keene University, a master's degree from Seton Hall. He is a graduate of the prestigious FBI Academy, and it is my strong opinion as a former police chief that Captain Schulhafer is the most qualified candidate to lead the Linden Police Department. Ironically, when I became mayor 5.5 years ago, I made a promise that I would never allow politics to interfere in the police department. There's nothing more devastating to a police department than to have politics be intertwined in it. And on June 14th, 2011, I wrote a policy to Provisional Chief Sal Bavona. And I'm going to read it. It isn't that long. I would like you to redistribute my policy regarding promotions. I want to make it perfectly clear to all personnel under your command that I do not intend to pass anyone using the rule of three, which is a choice of 1, 2, or 3, unless the department can point to specific and articulate facts that justify doing so. Some examples would be if an officer was found guilty of a serious infraction of department rules and regulations, continued documented departmental infractions, or excessive abuse of sick time without any documented long-term medical problems. Any decision to pass someone over for promotion would take serious deliberation on my part and would only be done after consultation with you, the individual's division commander, and his or her immediate supervisor. As the mayor and the head of the police department, I intend to have an objective promotional process, free from political interference for officers in your department. Again, that was June 14th, 2011, to Provisional Chief Sal Bavona. Like I said, this was a hard decision. I knew and still know all these men. But what disturbs me is the fact that unless you could point to specific facts on the record of Captain Schulhafer, he should not be passed over for the chiefs of police position. He came out number 1. He came out number 1, and he's got an impeccable record. I feel that this governing body did a severe injustice to Captain Schulhafer, myself, and the Linden Police Department by circumventing the process and not even having the political backbone to vote yes or no for this individual. It's a shame that I have to speak up during my mayor's report over this issue because I wasn't allowed to speak up during the Personnel Committee report. This is nothing but politics with a capital P. I will not stand for it. I will fight it as much as I could fight it and as long as I could fight it, as I am the mayor of the city of Linden who promotes, demotes, and appoints. And I want this governing body to know that you will not politically interfere in the Linden Police Department as long as I am the mayor of this city of Linden. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Hudak, in your opinion, as separation of powers, and my responsibility as City Council President, did I restrict improperly the mayor from making comments?
Council President, the mayor has the power of an appointment, which is a nomination. Council has advice and consent. The item was on the agenda for advice and consent, and there was a motion to pull it, which is in essence a motion to table. Excuse me. A motion to table is not subject to discussion. Once the motion to table is voted up or down, then you would continue.
So it was a proper situation?
Proper procedural matter, yes.
Thank you. I'd like to move into resolutions. 2012-298 through 2012-324. Public comments will be permitted for those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions, which have been prepared by the City Clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain question. Does anybody wish to remove resolutions 298 through 324? On my right. Sir in the back. Number 298. Pat Hero. 302. 319. 321. On my right. In the center, Mr. Sharpie. 304. 313. 'Thank you. In my center here, anybody wish to remove it? On my left, sir? Oh, no, it's Mr. Salva. Anybody else? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move for acceptance of resolutions with the exception of number 312, 298, 302, 304, 313, 319, and 321, and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. DeCalvis?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby, Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. I would, Mr. Smith, 298.
Good evening, Michael Smith, Allen Street. Regarding Resolution 298, we have a declaration here of surplus, which is not defined. However, we have a definition on Resolution 315, which defines surplus property. Why is that distinction not created on Resolution 298?
Mrs. Zach.
These are the vehicles that we're going to be looking to either surplus or dispose of at our auction that we do in October with the County of Union. The wording in the resolution, the surplus property or disposal thereof, it has no difference in the wording of it. It's just the way the resolution was prepared. It doesn't have anything different than what the other resolution has.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move for acceptance of Resolution 2012-298 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. DeCalvis?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby, Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 302, Pat Hero.
We're with T&M Associates again, and presumably they signed a contract. It's a consulting firm. Presumably they should have known some of the stuff they were getting into before they signed the contract, and now they're coming back and asking for more money? George isn't here. Anybody?
The first contract was just to make sure that the structure would not fall down. They analyzed it, they analyzed the concrete, they determined that it's good for another 30 years. However, there were some areas that needed some work done, so they're going to design the plans and specifications for that, and then they're going to design a waterproofing membrane over the open portions of the deck so that no water would seep through for a good 10 or 15 years.
When was the parking garage built?
1977.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I move for acceptance of Resolution 2012-302 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Calvis.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy. Yes. Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Kaczynski. Yes. Mr. Moore.
Yes. Mr. Sharpie on 304.
Yes, Paul Sharpie, residing at 315 Second Avenue. This Persol Service Group, as the State Attorney General concluded his investigation into this matter with Persol Service Group. Does anyone know?
Mr. Verchik.
As far as I know, they made political donations last general election, and as far as I know, they haven't concluded their investigation into this Birdsall, because I've been called down to Trenton to testify, and I haven't been called yet. So has that investigation with Birdsall Service Group, has the state closed the case from last year? Does anyone know? Because I know in November of 2011, this city ran into contract with the Gregorio Center over here due to political donations, and the state is investigating this.
You said I can get an answer for you, Mr. Sharpie. Mr. Hudak?
I have no answer on it because he's talking about a state investigation that have nothing to do with the city.
Yes. Have they concluded their investigation, sir?
You would have to direct that to the Attorney General's office.
Well, as far as I know, they haven't.
And your question?
And why are we putting this resolution for approval of a contract with them if they haven't concluded their investigation yet with Persol Group? Why is the city going to go out and give this particular service group $17,000 of the taxpayers' money? I would like to know. I think they should be cut out. Because this group gives political donations to the Democratic Party here to his sons, and his son is the one that's being investigated. Thank you.
Motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I move for acceptance of Resolution 2012-304 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Calvis.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Mr. Sharpie, 313. 3 minutes.
I'm not objecting to this, but I just want to inform everyone that under the new driving regulations that the commissioner has put out, that if you have one drink and get behind the wheel, you could be pulled over. It's a new law. You'll be over the legal limit of driving if you just have one drink and get behind the wheel. And that's why they are recognizing this throughout the state, a statewide crackdown. So if you get behind the wheel this Labor Day and you've had one or maybe two, you could be pulled over. It's state and federal law now. That's all.
Motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I move for acceptance of Resolution 2012-313 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Calvis.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Pat Hero on 319.
I come to these council meetings sometimes to educate myself, so I'll just read this resolution and ask a few questions. Resolution authorizing the execution of certain agreements in connection with the Union County Improvement Authority. Bond anticipation notes. City of Linden guaranteed. Series 2012. First of all, Mr. Hudak, you are a bond counsel in your private practice, I believe. Can you tell me what's a bond anticipation note, so I can be smarter?
One, I'm not involved in this transaction, but a bond anticipation note is a one-year note as opposed to a long-term debt instrument.
Okay, thank you. And what are these certain agreements?
I'm not involved in this transaction, so I don't, you'd have to, Alexis.
Okay. Who at the UCIA would be able to help me on this?
Mrs. Zach?
This is a bond anticipation note that we've utilized the Union County Improvement Authority for the last several years. This is in reference to the Morningstar project. They were the redevelopment entity that assisted the city with the redevelopment work on the Morningstar. This specific note was for the demolition of certain properties in that redevelopment area. The paperwork that we have to sign basically allowing us to roll over the note for another year, which is basically about an interest rate of 1.83%, which totaled about $18,000 in interest from the previous year that the city of Linden has to pay. This authorizes us to now roll that note over for another year and go to the market to see if we have competitive interest rates at about that rate.
If you had listened to me back in those days and voted down this project, we wouldn't have had bonded at all. Just a thought. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I move for acceptance of Resolution 2012-319 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalvas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Pat Hero on 321.
I know Councilwoman Cosby Hurling referred to this possibly in her talk, but with regard to, I guess, the Morris County group. But what exactly are, because you have 321 and 322, and one's the milling and resurfacing of the same streets that are listed in 322, what's the improvements? How are they different from what's going on? It's a different company, so how is it different in 321? What are the improvements?
Mr. Vochick?
321 is the preparatory work. It's doing the curbs, sidewalks, manholes, and catch basins.
Oh, okay, because...
And then the Tilcon one is the actual milling and paving.
Okay, because in here you had another company, I think, was it the S Brothers? No, DM Fernandez. So is that different now?
Fernandez is the curb and sidewalk project for the entire city.
Okay,
Nothing to do with these streets.
okay. But if it's the entire city, then
What was that?
isn't these streets are in the entire city, part of the entire city?
Yeah,
Okay, you're just using a separate company.
yeah, for Fernandez is the rest of the city, and these 4 streets are what S Brothers is going to do.
Okay, thank you.
Motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I move for acceptance of Resolution 2012-321 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalvas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Council, in order to take into consideration public input in the proposed ordinances, will allow 3 minutes for each individual to speak on an ordinance on first reading. Council will not answer any questions. Anyone is reminded in a public hearing on each of these ordinances will be held next month at the council meeting. Ordinance on first reading, 5644.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 15, Streets and Sidewalks as follows. Delete Section 15-3, Reserved, and add Section 15-3, Failure to obtain permits, enforcements, and penalties.
Councilwoman?
Council President, I ask that we move ordinance 5644 on introduction, and I seek a second.
Second.
Colavos?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5645.
Bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of various items of capital equipment for the Public Works Department and appropriating $169,400 and authorizing the issuance of $160,930 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Anybody wishes to please come up?
If you don't mind, I'm just going to batch this along with 46, 47, 48, and 49. I remember about maybe 2 years ago when me and Ms. Wolverding stood up here and we talked about a garbage truck and that, you know, the citizens are really struggling out there and that there's really not that much, you know, money that the citizens are having, and maybe we could put that off for another year. And so I spoke to someone after that meeting. They were very kind, and, you know, and I understood why we did that. And then the next year, they, you know, got their garbage truck, and that was fine because we understood they needed it. Now we're talking about, just this 145, we're talking about $169,400. 46 is going to be $72,600 for an asphalt for the Public Works. Well, I guess we need asphalt, but $278,300 for acquisition of a street sweeper, $278,300 for acquisition of a sanitation truck with plow, and $207,900 for acquisition of a 15-yard dump truck. That is a lot of money, an incredible amount of money. I don't know why we are spending so much money. Why is this equipment breaking down? Is it not being maintained? What is the story? I know you can't answer my questions, but it's just an unbelievable amount of money for people in the city who are really, really struggling, like me, like some other people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Motion?
Oh, thanks, sorry about that. I make a motion to introduce this ordinance 5645 and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colavos?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead? Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5646.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $72,600 for acquisition of asphalt for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $68,970 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Anybody wishes to comment? Seeing none, motion, please.
I would like to introduce ordinance 5646 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colavos?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5647, please.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $278,300 for the acquisition of a street sweeper for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $264,385 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Any public comments on 5647? Motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to accept ordinance 5647 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colavos?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5648.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $278,300 for the acquisition of a sanitation truck with plow for the Public Works Department and authorizing issuance of $264,385 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Anybody wishes to speak on that one? Mr. Sharpie, please come up. Please. On 49.
And was for 49.
This is 5649.
It's 48, isn't it?
Yes.
48, and I want to, on this, Mr. Sheehy, on this one, last night you were discussing how many trucks we're going to put down. Was it 2 or 3 that were going to be put down?
No comment. This is introduction of...
1, yeah, but at the present moment, do we need 2 new trucks or just 1 only?
This is introduction, new ordinances, and this is the time for us to get your input, and the council will not make any statements.
I feel instead of a dump truck, which is the next one up, that we should have 2 sanitary trucks instead of just 1, you know, instead of hold off on 49 and make it 2 sanitary trucks because of the amount of sanitary stuff that we pick up. I feel that the city needs 2 instead of a dump truck. I'd rather have 2 sanitary trucks than just 1. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Motion, please.
I make a motion to accept, not to accept, I make a motion to introduce 5648 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes, yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5649.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $207,900 for the acquisition of a 15-yard dump truck for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $197,505 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Does anybody on my right wish to speak on this? In the center? Left? Seeing none, motion, please.
I make a motion to introduce 5649 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5650, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration, Article 1, General, Section 2-7, Administrative Organization shall be amended as follows. Delete Section 2-7.1 in its entirety and add new Section 2-7.1, Creations of Committees, Appointments of Members. Delete Section 2-7.2 in its entirety and add new Section 2-7.2, Committees of the City Council.
Does anybody from the audience wish to speak on this? Would you please come up, please?
To quote the line from the great movie, "It's back," or as the great Yogi Berra might say, it's deja vu all over again. Haven't we been down this road before? I mean, personally, I like the Personnel and Finance Committee together. I think, I thought this thing was dispensed with, and I thought it's maybe time to move on to something, a new item, some new things that we need to do, not go back and keep rehashing the old stuff over and over and over again. That's just my opinion. I mean, if you have personnel, you're going to need to figure out how much money they're going to be paying. Budget review and finance doesn't really make much sense. I mean, I like to keep the Personnel and Finance Committee together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. President, may I speak on that?
Councilman Armstead. Yes, this is for information from the public.
So can I talk, yes or no?
No.
Okay, all right.
Motion, please.
I make a motion to introduce ordinance 56-15, seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
No.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
No.
Kaczynski?
No.
Mr. Moore?
No. Uh, 5651.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on Street as follows. Add 331 Ashton Avenue, 1 space. Delete 425 Ainsworth Street, 1 space.
Anybody wish to comment on it? Seeing none, motion, please.
Mr. President, I move for introduction of ordinance 5651 and request a second.
Second.
Yes.
Colibus? Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Okay, we'll move into...
No, we have one more,
Yeah, one
5652.
52.
52.
I'm sorry.
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 5356, amending Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-12, Parking by Permit Only in Designated Residential Areas, and ordinance 5470, amending Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-12, Parking by Permit Only in Designated Residential Areas, be and are hereby repealed in their entirety and of no further force or effect.
Comments on 5652 from the public? Seeing none, motion, please.
I make a motion to introduce ordinance 5652 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colibus?
Yes.
Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Comments from the members in the public in attendance on city business only? No personal, derogatory comments, not to exceed 5 minutes. I'll ask Michael Smith to please come up, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council President, council members, and fellow Linden residents. Before I commence my comments, I wish to make a small statement regarding a sincere remembrance for Mayor Paul Workmeister, truly a man for all seasons, a gallant gentleman who served his country, his community with grace, distinction, and honor. Now, to continue, we are indeed fortunate to live in a society where opposing points of view are offered in a public forum. For if a democracy is to flourish, we must condone, not condemn, reasonable contrasting viewpoints, embrace, not dismiss those who propose a different outlook. To achieve an honest, vibrant discussion, one must listen not only with an open ears, but with an open mind and with an open heart. In previous council meetings, we have heard those who offered their sincere and candid expressions that the city of Linden must enable a curfew for kids. Furthermore, it was suggested that elements of the Linden Police, upon a discovery of such curfew-violated kids, to transport such kids within Linden police vehicles to the respected homes. If one may utilize numbers from the August 2012 edition of the Police Chief magazine, it so states that for 13 consecutive years, traffic-related deaths, not firearms, have been the leading cause of death of police officers within the country who suffer such deaths in the line of duty, known as LOD. I, for one, wish to personally commend those two brave Linden police officers who performed an exemplary public service by securing 3 stolen handguns in a traffic stop on St. George Avenue as expressed in the August 21st edition, today's edition, of the Star-Ledger. The confiscation of such weaponry from our streets, one believes, is a far greater social consequence to the residents of Linden, and with all due respect, than the ferrying of curfew-violated kids to their respective homes. Perhaps in the distant future, if Linden creates a youthful offender curfew, perhaps a reassessment, perhaps a misdemeanor ticket, they could issue that for such curfew violators, which will be answerable within municipal court, and that could be a viable solution to this difficulty. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Dennis Kopecki.
Good evening, all. Dennis Kopecki. I'm up on Erudo Street, and I take note of the condolences that all of us have wished the Workmeister family in respect to Paul Workmeister, but I do note a lack of one word in all of these condolences, and that was the word friend. The man was a great friend to me. I'll certainly miss him, but I also know that with his awesome outlook on the city of Linden and support for it, that the city of Linden has lost an awesome friend and supporter of the city of Linden in every possible way. Moving on to something else, I would also like to suggest that while I fully recognize Mayor Gerbunka's statutory requirement, or should I say ability, to appoint a permanent chief of police, I do oppose at this point in time, and I'm glad that the council has decided to table that particular motion for further discussion from the standpoint of Mayor Gerbunka himself has now challenged us to find reasons why we should not appoint Captain Schulhafer, but left out the possibility of finding reasons why we should not remove provisional, and I know the difference between permanent and provisional, Chief Bavona. So I would like to suggest that we at least listen to both viewpoints. Mayor Gerbunka's challenge not to oppose the appointment of Captain Schulhafer, and certainly if anyone has any reasons why we should not remove Chief Bavona, then that too should be brought out. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, all.
Thank you. John Miliano.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, council president, Mayor Gerbunka. Some of my remarks are going to be redundant with what the mayor may have said. First of all, I read very interestedly the article that was in Sunday's Star Ledger, and one point that I recognized was Councilman Brown indicating that a test score should not be the only criteria by which a candidate should be judged for a position of police chief. And in that regard, I agree, Mr. Brown. But there are, however, a lot of other areas that have to be used, and those areas are education, which Captain Schulhafer possesses. He possesses a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree. He's attended the prestigious National Academy that the FBI puts out, which teaches solely police management, college level and graduate level courses that are geared to people that are rising through the ranks that can be and will be future police chiefs or are police chiefs. I myself attended the FBI National Academy, and for that I have to thank former Mayor Workmeister. May God rest his soul. Captain Schulhafer and his family and his parents and his grandparents have roots very, very deep in this city. And I understand that the City Council, since my retirement as police chief, have passed ordinances which require residency for new hirees within the city. Now, I realize that police officers may live outside of the city according to statutory law, but it is beneficial to have a police chief that does live and pay taxes within the city to be able to respond quickly and efficiently to whatever situation may arise. Councilman Kozel, I believe, you mentioned something to the effect that community outreach is very important in the selection of a police chief. Well, I myself, when I was police chief, and there was an upcoming civil service exam, would take the applications and knowing that we were lacking in African-American participation on our police department, to the Mount Moriah, the White Rock, the First Baptist, Morning Star churches, do a little spiel from the podium and present applications out at the end of the service to those that were interested. Well, I got to tell you, that wasn't necessarily my idea. That came from Captain Schulhafer. We were sitting down having coffee, and we were talking about the lack of minority participation in the police department. And he came up with that idea, and he made a suggestion, and I thought it was a wonderful suggestion, and I bought into it. I have been a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police for over a quarter century, and I still hold membership in that association. And as a member of that association, I receive the Police Chief magazine, which comes out monthly. And I would say maybe 6 or 8 times a year, there's several advertisements for police chiefs in that magazine. And they list the requirements. They list...
Chief, 1 minute.
They list the education requirements, bachelor's degree, master's degree, preferable. A preferable FBI or Penn State graduate in police studies and police science. Captain Schulhafer has all of those. I don't know what the other candidates possess. I'd like to just say this, sweeping aside all the phone calls, the backdoor phone calls, the politics, if you just take the 2 individuals or the individuals that are on this list, put their qualifications side by side, I don't know how you can make any other decision but for Captain Schulhafer. Most people tell their children, you work hard, go to school, get a good education, keep physically and mentally fit, play by the rules, and you can achieve your dreams. I'd like to know what you tell your children. Thank you.
Thank you. James Carey. James Carey. There you go.